Eternal Sunshine is the 7th album by Ariana Grande, and it's one that sees her staying mostly in the pop and R&B lane that a lot of us know her for, but also embracing the house/dance genre a lot in this record. There are a lot of synths as well, a lot of use of synths. Synths are throughout this whole thing, they're everywhere. Synthesizer. I was particularly intrigued by this album, not only because it's Ariana Grande, and she's a relevant artist, and I like to stay in the know of popular music of today, but the title, Eternal Sunshine, I had heard about the concept of some of the songs relating to the film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is what the title is sort of referring to. I'd seen the music video for We Can't Be Friends prior to listening to this album, and there were clear, obvious callbacks to that film with regards to sets, locations, costumes. It was clearly that film had an influence on this album in more than one way. And I love that movie. I know it's a very popular film, but if you haven't seen it, give it a watch. It's an amazing film. So with this concept album, if we can even call it that, I think Ariana Grande was able to pull together quite a good batch of songs here, all pretty much relating to what I would at least picked up on as a previous relationship gone wrong, which I know sounds like the most original idea ever and completely innovative and transformative and just cutting edge in every single sense of the phrase. Like, no one else has made an album like that ever. Pardon my intense sarcasm, but I mean, yeah, there is a small part of me that is kind of frustrated with the fact that it's just another album that's just about a breakup and relationships. I mean, whatever. Normally it doesn't bother me, but whenever I actually sit down to like really intently listen to an album and focus on everything from the production and the lyrics and the vocals, I pick up on more things than I would, like naturally, as opposed to casually listening to music. And so I sort of drive myself wild sometimes when I listen to music. That's all, no biggie. But yeah, dark humor aside, sarcasm aside, I actually did really enjoy this album, and I love how she implemented house and dance music into this thing. It reminded me a little bit of Jessie Ware and her latest record, That Feels Good, which is a great album, one of my favorites last year. I don't know if it's just recency bias because I've listened to that recently, well, semi-recently, it was last year, but yeah, it kind of gave me some of those same vibes that album had going. And so now I'd like to go over some standout tracks from the album. For me, I'm trying something a little different with this album review. I haven't actually reviewed an album in a little while right now, and I'm just trying to find something different, find a way to kind of make these videos a little fresh. To the few viewers that are tuning in, I appreciate you watching. I want to kind of just test something new. I thought was really interesting song, basically the first song in the album. Intro kind of plays out as more of an interlude. This was the first real song, I would say, no offense to intro. But this kick-started the disco dance elements that we would hear later in the album, but also had a strangely dubstep feel to it with the pattern of the drums and these very fuzzy, heavy synths in the background. It sounds weird, but it actually, in the song, I think sounded quite good. Following this is Don't Wanna Break Up Again, which I find kind of funny coming after Bye, as if like she's saying bye, but then is saying, oh, I don't actually want to say bye, though, even though I already said bye. I don't know, at least when you read the titles of this album from song to song, there could be kind of a, funny, amusing story told there. But I like this one especially for how much of a slower tempo it's at, and the not monotonous, but like repetitive melody that Ariana's vocal lines carried here. And it sounded good. That might sound like a critique, but I actually really liked how it sounded. Eternal Sunshine is another one that I really like, the song Eternal Sunshine, with this sort of trap 808s heavy beat that we have here, which I think Grande, I don't know what it's called, like Grande or Ariana. I'll just call her Grande. Grande sounds great on, I don't know her, I should call her by her last name. I think she sounds really good here. It definitely gives me kind of Dawn Tolliver vibes, the way that her vocals are flowing over this instrumental, which is also a compliment. I definitely feel like this is Grande's more apologetic, sincere side coming out on this track, as opposed to songs like Bye and Don't Want to Break Up Again, where there's a little bit of humor, a little bit of sarcasm and swag to the way that those songs were executed. She even says, "Hope you feel alright when you're in her." Gee, how considerate of a thing to say. We get some more kind of playing around with tempo and genre with The Boy Is Mine, which is not a remake of the 90s Brandy and Monica classic. If some of you may be thinking that, no, this is an original. Loving these snappy synths and trap drums and kind of how it starts to gradually slow down every time it gets back to her saying, "The boy is mine." It's very, very satisfying every time it gets to that part of the song. And there's Yes and, which was the lead single for this album. And I think it's a very good lead single. I don't think it necessarily does the best job at indicating how the rest of the album would go, as they're not all full on, like balls deep in the house genre like this one is. I mentioned Jessie Ware, kind of how some of the songs here reminded me of her style. This one I definitely got sort of Renaissance Beyonce era style. It's a very solid single, and it's also not the only time that I was reminded of Beyonce on here. I can't remember exactly, I should have written it down, but there was another song, maybe The Boy's Mine? Whatever. I'm rambling on, no one cares. I Wish I Hated You is a very emotional track on the album where Grande, fittingly so, does her best impression of a Minecraft song. I'm joking, but the instrumental definitely felt like something off of Minecraft with the spacey, sporadic synth notes that sound great, I think. Yeah, this one with the title of the song with some of the lyrics we get, I at least got the impression that it's like, I wish we had more turmoil and didn't get along as well so that the breakup would have been less painful, or disillusion, or parting of ways, however you want to word it. But I personally find that to be very honest and just very sad. I forgot to mention it earlier, but the music video for We Can't Be Friends, in addition to the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind references, are also, I learned some very clear references to Mac Miller, who was a former partner of Grande's. And knowing this makes for even more of an emotional impact, at least for me, with the final song, Ordinary Things, which has these horn samples being utilized that start off the track and play throughout the song that feel a lot like something that Mac would have done. He would have had some sort of jazzy horn sample like that. Overall, I really enjoyed this album. I was very satisfied with how it turned out. Grande's singing is great, as it always is, but it's really good here. You know, the track listing has its duds. There are some misses. Not every song is good. And the conception realized can feel a little redundant at times, which I hinted to earlier in the video. But I found it to be a pretty good and enjoyable way to spend 35 minutes. And to my knowledge, this kind of came together quickly, not really last minute, but, you know, there wasn't as much time spent on this album, and it kind of just happened suddenly and was made and is now out. Is a way to describe how this album was made, I guess. I don't know, I did read some stuff that kind of hinted at that being the case, but I think the end result was nice. Overall, Eternal Sunshine for me would get an 8.5 out of 10. Please let me know what you think of this album if you've heard it. I'm sure you have. She's a huge artist. You probably have heard it if you're watching this. Please let me know. I would love to know any of your favorite songs as well. Let me know that too. And thank you so much for watching this video. Also, hope you guys enjoyed my last video that I made. I feel good about it. It was a good old shitpost that I just thought was funny, and I like that the comments kind of understood the assignment and left those comments, which I won't say what they are, but you can go to the video. It's pretty great. I'm very proud of you guys for doing the right thing there. So yeah, thank you all. Peace out.